This is You're Probably Right.
That's right.
Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours.
All ours.
Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word.
Never.
There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder.
How you doing? This is MCM, and you are listening to episode 345 of the You're Probably Right podcast, and I am MCM, aka, as I said, Michael Charles Murray, to be exact. Okay. Have you ever actually really been in love? That's the question. And I mean really. And the reason why I said really, well, you're going to understand that very soon. You see, there's 10 questions about love: marriage, desire, duty, attachment, timing, agreeableness, and what makes us think we are in love, and the things we call being in love, true or false. As I said before, this episode, like all my other episodes, are for and is for entertainment purposes only. Have you ever been in love? Actually, really in love? The question is not have you ever wanted somebody, not have you ever missed somebody, not have you dealt with somebody, it ended, and now you're hooked and you can't really figure out why, and you can't seem to be able to release yourself from that person because of that encounter, that situation, that relationship that went left or went wrong. Not have you ever checked your phone over and over, waiting for a message that would never come. And you know that if it came, it would calm your nervous system and possibly ruin your whole day, maybe. Not have you ever built a future in your head with somebody who only gave you enough material to build a fantasy. Not have you ever stayed with someone for years. Not have you ever married someone. Not have you ever had children with someone. Not have you ever suffered because of someone. Not have you ever sacrificed so much and given so much to someone. I'm asking something way, way deeper, because anybody could sacrifice for many, and you could have suffered for your choice or somebody else's choice. Not did you have children, because, man, there's a lot of people who have children with someone that they didn't love, and it either happened very, very quickly and nonchalantly and by accident, some would say. Marriage, you might not have even had a choice in who you married, or maybe you did, and that's the problem. You see, because one of the problems with the word love, as I bring it back, and I know that I've said a lot of stuff in that short period of time. Listen, one of the problems with the word love is that everybody uses it, but not everybody means the actual same thing. Some people say love when they mean desire. Let me slow down because I'm like messing up my words here. So excited, I guess. Sorry. Let me slow it down. Some people say love when they mean desire. Some people say love when they mean duty. Some people say love when they mean habit. Some people say love when they mean fear. Some people say love when they mean loneliness. Some people say love when they mean covenant. Some people say love when they mean, I don't know how to leave. Some people say love when they mean, I don't know who I would be without this person. Some people say love when they mean this person showed up at the right time or maybe at the wrong time, but either way, I attached myself to them. Some people say love when it means this person showed up, I was broken, we got attached, we had sex, we have a kid on the way. So therefore, we're in love. Sounds strange, right? Happened to many people. And some people really do love. But even then, they may not understand what kind of love they are talking about. You know, could be agape, could be filial, could be, well, there's a few of them. So this episode is not me trying to be cute. This is not a Valentine's Day episode, although it may be Valentine's Day in your world. This is not a soft music, candlelight, rose on the table type of conversation, although there is soft music playing behind my voice. This is a head scratcher. And if you are not careful, it might be a tearjerker. You may already have a tear already because of what you thought was going to happen, because of what actually happened, because of what is happening, because of what's not happening. Maybe because of how people look at you and your kids and you, and maybe it's how people look at you and you have no kids and you have no husband, you have no wife, you have no friends, or maybe you have all of those things and you're still empty. Because once you start asking whether what you called love was actually love, you may have to revisit some part of your life that you already filled away, or filed away, I should say, under one title. You may have to ask whether the old relationship was love or just hunger, whether the marriage was love or just structure, whether that person was your soulmate as you thought or just your pattern with a face, whether the connection was destiny or just timing. You know, whether the ache was love or withdrawal, whether the loyalty was devotion or fear. Fear of what? Well, you know what you're scared of. Whether the peace was peace or just silence. And let me say this clearly before anybody twists anything that I have to say, because it happens. It happens. This is not an episode telling married people to leave their spouse at all. This is not what I'm doing. I believe marriage is serious. I believe vows are serious. I believe covenant is serious. I believe the laws of God are higher than the mood of the culture, the social script. I believe scriptures give marriage a weight that modern people often remove and overlook. So if you are married, don't use this episode or any of my other episodes as a weapon. Don't use it to create chaos in your house. Don't listen to the one podcast episode and decide that because you don't feel the butterflies like Michael Jackson talks about today, next week, or next year, that it means your marriage is meaningless and you need to move on. No. And honestly, if I've never said that in any of my other episodes and you're hearing me now and you've listened to other episodes, please, please, please understand. I am never, ever, ever telling anybody that that is what they need to do, nor do I believe anybody should be listening to me in that respect. My episodes are for entertainment purposes only. And I know I say that, but it's the different types of entertainment you have to realize are out here. So saying entertainment only is not like I want to make you go, ooh, ah, and make you laugh or make you cry. I just put them out there for you guys to think. And that's why the podcast name is You're Probably Right, because I could be wrong and you could be probably right. Vice versa, right? This is not a divorce episode. This is a naming episode because sometimes the beginning of wisdom is not changing everything. Sometimes the beginning of wisdom in your situation is finally calling something its proper name, the motive, the proper name. In other words, call lust, lust. Call loneliness, loneliness, fear, fear, covenant, covenant, duty, duty, attachment, attachment, faithfulness, faithfulness, convenience, convenience, money, money, survival, survival. When you call love, love, let it be something worthy of that actual name. So today, I want to talk, I want to walk through 10 questions, not accusations. And listen, 10 questions, you can answer them privately. You can pause the episode after each one. You can write them down. You can think about them after. And if you're wise about who you choose, you might even go through them with a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a close friend, or a group of friends, or someone you deeply trust. Be careful. Oh, yeah, be careful. Not everybody deserves your honest answers. Some people listen to understand, and some people listen to collect evidence for later. Some people listen so they can use your truths against you in the future when they need it. So, use the wisdom. But if you can sit with these questions honestly, please, honestly, listen to me. You're listening to someone who has ruined relationships for nonsense. And I can honestly tell you, for me, now looking back, the relationships that I ruined, or the relationships that I didn't allow to mature enough because I thought things weren't how they should be, or I wasn't being treated the way I should have been treated, I believed. And therefore, I gave up, or I found another option because what I was getting as an option felt like it was actually no option. And I was looking down the road and saying, if my life is like this in 15 years, and I don't even know what to do with myself. So I had to find another way. Then you look back after the 15 years and say, you know what? I probably could have put up a couple more months. I probably could have put up with it a couple more years. I have to understand that there are mountain experiences in relationships and valley experiences and plain, simple, boring experiences and situations in marriage and relationships, that sometimes what you need to do is give it time. Maybe you will see something clearly here, hopefully. Maybe you were in love. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you were as close to love as you knew how to be at that time. Maybe you entered something for the wrong reasons, but by the grace of God, something real actually was built inside. Maybe you were both honest, clean with your motives, and therefore it still worked out even though it might not have started in the right way. Maybe you thought love had to start with fire, when maybe some love starts with duty, then grows into care, then becomes devotion. Maybe you thought love was the strongest feeling, when maybe love is what remains when the feeling is no longer performing. So let's walk through it. And again, I can say, and I got to break away from the script because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a family of four kids, two girls, two boys. I'm coming from a family where my parents were married all of my life. As a matter of fact, I am the youngest of the four, and my brother, who was 9 years older than me, was born in wedlock in another parents were born in another country, came to Canada, and they were married the whole time. They were together the whole time. My father never laid a finger on my mother, and they stayed together till my father passed away of Parkinson's. Matter of fact, my parents died at the very same age of 81. My father was a lot older than my mother. Matter of fact, he was 19 years older than my mother. Apparently, the story is because I just learned this a few months ago, and I don't mind sharing it. Both of them are gone, and however they felt about it would be however they felt about it. But I want to pass this on to people because I want you to really, really understand. And this podcast hasn't made me a cent. After now 300, apparently on one site it says I have 361, although I'm on my 345th episode of me rambling on. Imagine that. But I haven't made a single cent from this podcast yet. So what I'm saying is that I'm doing this to help people. Although maybe it doesn't seem like it, maybe you think I'm just spreading propaganda or my own ideas. It's not like that, yo. Listen, my parents were together all my life. But apparently I found out, and I wouldn't figure that my cousin would have any reason to lie to me. I mean, people do, right? But whatever. It goes with a good story, anyways. He says that what he heard is that from my cousin, talking with my other cousin, saying that my mom didn't want to marry my mom. I mean, sorry, my mom didn't want to marry my dad. Apparently, it was said that he was old, obviously. Um, And anyway, they got married. She was about 19, 20. Um, do the math. Anyhow, but the life that they lived was so beautiful. And when he passed, because he did die 19 years before she did, um, you could see the change in her. You could see how much she loved him. From what she said, from how her life was afterwards. And at the same time, you could see the dedication that she had for him, the love she had for him. And he was a very insightful man. He was very quiet, but he could talk as well, and he could reminisce, and he was able to tell me about life in the in the days during the war, the Second World War. He was that old. He was older than Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Bob Marley and and all these so-called heroes that we've had. He was older than these people, and although he didn't have a prestigious fame and all that, he was a preacher, and at the same time, he was just a blue-collar worker. Nothing special. Didn't make all that money. Had us settle in a half decent neighborhood. We were too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. But again, parents were together. They would do their gardens together. They would go to church together. They would talk together. They would pray together. They would learn and read their Bible together. They would have us for Bible study and all kinds of stuff. So we had a good setting. Now, I can't say us as kids really took advantage of all that because I know a lot of people don't get all of that. But what I'm trying to let you know is that I came from a pretty stable home. So this is the type of person that is talking to you. That's why I'm giving you a little bit of my origin story. Now, of course, a lot of my story is not so wonderfully packed in many of the episodes because I get down to the nitty gritty of things that happen and stuff. But I just want you to know that, okay? Anyhow, back to our regular scheduled program. Okay, question one. When you say I love them, what exactly do you mean? That is where we have to start, okay? Because people use the word for completely different things. A person can say, I love her or I love him. And what he or she really means is, I want her or him. Another person may say, I love him or her. And what they really mean is he makes me feel safe. Maybe he earns enough money that he can pay all of your bills. Maybe he can buy you a Birkin or a Chanel bag, or maybe he can shop at Balmain. Is that how you said? Someone, someone else could say, "I love my spouse," and what they mean is, we built life together. We have children. We have history. We have shared pain. We have home. We have survived things, and I'm committed. Another might say, "I love them. Our situation is not perfect. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't have got together when we did under some bad or twisted situation, but I've attached myself to them. And although they are not available for me, I love them." Another person can say, "I love them." And what they mean is, "I'm terrified to be alone." Another person can say, well, they make me feel young again. Another person can say it and mean, "They make me feel chosen." Another person can say, "They make my life look successful," or "They make my life a lot easier." Another person can say it and mean, "They are mine, and I don't want anyone else to have them." And that is the problem. The word love can become a suitcase that people stuff all kinds of things into, everything into. Desire goes in there, fear goes in there, sexual attraction goes in there, loneliness goes in there, money goes in there, possessions go in there, commitment goes in there, jealousy goes in there, obedience goes in there, habits go in there, faithfulness goes in there, control goes in there, need goes in there. And when we zip it all up and call the whole bag love, what if it isn't all love? What if some of it is good, some of it is broken, some of it is natural, some of it is sinful, some of it is immature, some of it is human, and some of it is actually love? That is why the first question matters. When you say, "I love them," what? What exactly do you mean? Think about it for real. And if you are honest and if you are actually listening to me here, I could save you years of heartache. So really be serious about this. I wouldn't even say it would be a bad idea for you to either sit there and write a paragraph on what you mean when you say you love this person. And if you're so bold, is to read this to your love, if you could do it afterwards, for real. You see, are you saying, "I want what is good for this person, even when it costs me something"? Because think about it. How often do you let it cost you something because you want the best for that person, the best thing, the best act, the best service for that or to that person? Are you saying, "I am committed to this person before God"? Honestly? Are you saying, "I enjoy this person"? Are you saying, "I need this person to regulate my emotions"? Are you saying, "I don't want to lose access"? Are you saying, "I respect this person"? Are you saying, "I need this person to pay the other side of this mortgage"? Are you saying, "I have a covenant with this person"? Are you saying, "They drive a good car and therefore it looks like they're successful and this will show this to my friends and family and coworkers when they pick me up from work"? Are they saying, "I'm afraid of starting over"? Are you saying that? Because those are all not the same thing. And this is where people get uncomfortable, because this is a podcast where I like to have people uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, you know that it's coming from a decent place. I'm not trying to have people listen to me and for shock value or stress people out or to make people feel bad about themselves. That's not why this podcast exists. Listen, Sometimes we don't define love because we are afraid that if we define it, we will have to live and be exposed with what we were actually trying to live inside or get inside. Sometimes love is the word we use when we have not done the harder work of naming what actually is can I say impetus? Or maybe a precursor or the reason or the antecedent for what we call love? Question two. Did you fall in love with the person or with the timing of the situation? You see, this is a dangerous question because timing can pretend to be love. Someone shows up when you're lonely. Someone who makes enough money shows up when, now, I don't want to say that. When you've already ran the gambit. How about that? You can look that up. I don't want to say ran through or anything like that, or sold, what is it called? Sowing oats and all that. I'm not going to say that. Someone shows up when you are watching your friends get married. Someone shows up when you are tired of being single or being the single one. Someone shows up when you are feeling older, heavier, weaker, less desirable, less noticed. Someone shows up because you're on vacation and out of the country, and for some reason, the millions of people in your country, there was just not a single soul. But all of a sudden, you go somewhere and they have this accent that you're fond of, and all of a sudden, they're the ones or the one. Someone shows up when the biological clock is not ticking, it's banging. It's banging pots and pans in the kitchen. Someone shows up when you are looking in the mirror and noticing wrinkles and gravity and hairline changes and weight changes and energy changes and sleep changes and options changing. And you used to get a down the street and now you get a who. And because they show up at that moment, the feeling can become bigger than that person. You don't just see them. Nah, you see relief. You see you see possibility. You see proof that you are still wanted and desired. You see a way of out of panic. Maybe they show up and they just bolster your self-image. They make you feel better about yourself and make you feel like you have options and all that. On a Show up on a white horse, Prince Charming and all. You see a way not to be left behind. You see a chance to build the life you thought you were supposed to have by now anyway. And I'm not knocking or mocking that. That is human. Time pressures people. Aging pressures people. Family pressures people. Culture pressures people. The body pressures people. Childbearing pressures people. The fear of being alone pressures people, but pressure can make us misname things. Listen, we don't know all the answers, obviously, here. We get all the pressures in life that we all have. People don't choose the person as much as they choose relief from panic many times. That doesn't mean the relationship is fake. It doesn't mean nothing real can grow, But it does mean we should ask the question, did I fall in love with this person, or did I fall in love with the timing of their arrival? Did I love them, or did I love the way their presence interrupted my fear? Was I hanging on to them because of what they looked like, what they would present like, what they would make my life to be like? Did I love who they were? Do I love who they are? Or did I love that they showed up before I gave up? Did I love their character? Do I love their character? Or did I love that they made me feel like my life was still on some sort of a normal schedule? This is where some marriages and relationships become very, very complicated because people can enter a relationship for one reason, then build something better over time. Not every relationship that starts with pressure is doomed. Not every marriage that starts practically is loveless. Not every person who settled into something made a foolish decision. Sometimes people begin with timing, duty, fear, family pressure, practical reasons, and later learn to love with maturity. Maybe they weren't so funny, but now they are. Maybe they were really funny and not so much. But the question is, and the question remains, what started it? And what is sustaining it now? What will sustain it later? Because if timing started it, right? Starts it. But love, commitment, respect, service, sacrifice, repentance, patience, and truth are sustaining it now, then maybe something real has grown. One thing I can tell you for sure is love, marriage, there has to be sacrifice, literal sacrifice. Not I stayed with you, that's the sacrifice. No, 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 that's not sacrifice. No, I mean when you need to do something for the other person and you don't want to do it, it doesn't tickle your fancy, it doesn't do anything besides grind your gears, but you're doing it anyway to provide, to make happy and peaceful and satisfy the other person, although it has nothing to do with your fulfillment, your joy, your happiness, your peace. Sacrifice. But if timing started it, right? And fear is still the engine, then we should at least be honest. It'll help you moving forward. Question 3. Were you in love or were you trying to escape loneliness? Loneliness is a powerful drug. Loneliness can make basic attention feel like destiny. Loneliness can make someone texting back feel like a divine confirmation. Loneliness can make ordinary kindness feel like intimacy. Loneliness can make a person who is simply available look like a person who is suitable because loneliness does not always ask, is this the right person? Sometimes loneliness asks, are they here? Sometimes loneliness asks all kinds of questions. And when you have been alone long enough, here can start to sound good enough. They are here, they answer, they notice me, they touch me, they want me, they laugh at what I say, they make space for me, they call me back, they text me back, they show up when they're supposed to, they're on time, they remember something about me, they ask how I'm doing, they make me feel like I still exist. I don't have to pressure them to check in on me. And suddenly the heart starts building a whole story. But that story is not love. Maybe that story is just relief. Finally, maybe the story is hunger. Maybe the story is is a starving person finally smelling some food. You'll eat anything at that point. Yeah. And here is the uncomfortable part. When you are starving, Even bad food can feel like provision. That is truly emotionally emotional too, really. If you have been neglected, small attention can feel massive. And sometimes when you get that small attention and then they pull it away, you're thinking, oh, it's just because I'm lacking attention, so I'm being too much and all this other stuff. When really they're just pulling away because they realize that you need them more than they need you. If you've been unseen, right? Being noticed can feel like love. If you have been unwanted, being desired can feel like healing. If you have been abandoned, maybe just in the relationship that you were previously in, and consistency from someone else can feel like salvation. But a person can soothe your loneliness, your itch, and still not be someone you truly actually love. They're just someone. A person can reduce your pain and still not be actually good for your soul. A person can be present and still not be compatible. A person can be available and still not be loving. A person can possibly be able to provide, but after those provisions are made, there's a certain emptiness that many live year after year with. A person can want you and still not know how to care for you. So the question has to be asked: were you in love or were you trying to escape loneliness? And this matters for married people too, because some people enter marriage to avoid loneliness and then later become lonely inside the marriage. That's a different kind of pain. You are not alone on paper. You're not alone sitting in church. You're not alone in the car driving to New York or Florida or from. You are not alone in the house that you both bought with your paychecks or you're paying down on anyway. You're not alone in the family photo. You have one. You're not alone at Christmas dinner or Valentine's Day dinner. But inside, you are still not known. You're not alone in bed. Might even been good. But there's nothing else behind that person, possibly. You say, well, at least I'm not alone. I don't know. Listen, inside, many times in those dead relationships, you're still not heard, you're still not known, still not touched with actual tenderness. You have to question and ask yourself, does this person even like men? Or does this person even like women? Or does this person even like me? Forget about love. Many people lie in bed. They do that movie thing where the other person comes in at 11 o'clock and you're already in bed and you're awake. And you close your eyes and pretend you're sleeping because you just don't want them to bother you. Or you creep and tippy toe because you don't want them to wake up and it's 5 a.m. and you just want to get off and go to work. Still not considered, still not spiritually connected, still not emotionally safe. And now the person has to ask, did I escape loneliness or did I just relocate it? That is not a reason to destroy marriage, but it is a reason to tell the truth and move towards what is real and what is better for both of you. Because a lonely marriage needs honesty, not performance. Question 4: was it love or was it infatuation with a deadline? Infatuation is already strong. It can make people irrational. It can make a normal person seem extraordinary. It can make chemistry feel like confirmation. It can make the body vote. before wisdom even enters the room. But when you had a deadline, or when you add a deadline, infatuation becomes more dangerous, right? Because now it's not just I like this person, now it's I need something to happen soon, biological clocks and all. I need to get married soon. I need to have children soon. I need to prove I am still desirable soon. I need to catch up soon. I need to stop being alone soon. I need to secure someone soon. I need to make my life look like it's moving soon. I need better Instagram and Facebook pictures to look like my life is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And urgency can make infatuation look like love. And that is where people can make major decisions while calling pressure passion. They say, I just knew. Maybe. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you were scared. Maybe you were tired. Maybe you were comparing yourself to your sister, your brother, your friend, your neighbor, the person at work, or everybody else. Maybe your body was sending you one message, your family was sending you another message, your culture was sending you another message, and your loneliness was writing the final draft of everything. Infatuation with a deadline can create illusion of certainty because the pressure is so high, the person feels so necessary. But necessary doesn't always mean love. Sometimes it means I needed something and you were standing there, so I grabbed you. It's not hard. It's just sometimes it's a hard thing to admit. But it's not hopeless because, again, something can begin with a certain level of urgency and mature into proper love. The question is whether it did. Did the infatuation become patience? Did the attraction become honor? Did the urgency become service? Did the fear become faithfulness? Did the pressure become covenant? Or did the whole thing stay driven by panic and worry and fear? Because real love can survive the slowing down. Infatuation, nah. Often it needs speed. It needs mountaintop. It needs roller coaster. It needs push and pull. It needs exhilaration. It needs adrenaline. It needs steroids. Real love can breathe. Infatuation needs constant proof, money, jewels, sex, crazy amounts sometimes. Real love can tell the truth. Infatuation says, hurry before I lose the feeling. Love says, okay, we got time. We can figure it out. There's no rush. Take your time. What's the rush? He said, baby, anyhow. Love says, let let's become people who can trust each other, who can be trusted with each other. Number 5. If the person lost beauty, money, health, their house, their car, status, usefulness, would you still choose them? Yeah, that's right. Look at your spouse, or look at your boyfriend, your fiance. If the person lost their beauty, lost their money, lost their health, their status, changed religions, well, that's a whole other thing. But um, their usefulness changed, would you still choose them? I don't think the religion part's gonna fit in there probably, guys. This question, and I won't even say it lightly. Honestly, it doesn't. If I was with somebody, I'm a Christian, and they decided to turn into a Satanist or they turn Muslim, it probably wouldn't work. If they turn Hindu, probably wouldn't work because it says the two cannot walk unless they agree. So if they're one thing and then they change to another thing that's far off where you are, you're gonna have a problem. Now, if they're wishy washy with what they say they believe, and they can understand what you believe and they start coming closer, that's a whole nother story. And the question is, how close do they come? Right. So, with question number 5, this question separates love from benefit. And I know people don't like this question because it sounds harsh, but life is harsh enough to test it, I think. Beauty changes, bodies change. Used to have beautiful skin, not so much anymore. Money changes, used to have a six-figure salary, now it's just hanging on by a thread to where is even actually almost acceptable or below what is acceptable. Health changes, status changes. Maybe they can't go for a jog anymore. Maybe they're not the manager anymore or the owner. Sexual urges changes. Maybe you have no urge for them anymore for whatever reason. Usefulness changes. The person who once was strong all of a sudden became weak. The person who was once attractive may age. Wrinkles, body, muscular definition, fat definition. The person who was once full of energy may become tired. The person who made good money may lose work. The person who gave you status may no longer impress anybody, let alone you. The person who was easy to love when they were performing high level may become harder to love when life humbles them. So, what were you loving? Were you loving the person? Were you loving the fact the person had their own house as well? Or at least? Or were you loving what the person provided? Were you loving their soul? Were you loving their performance? Were you loving their character? Were you loving their packaging? Were you loving them? Or were you enjoying the benefits that came through with them? Some people are not loved. They are enjoyed while they are attractive. Usefulness, you know, cooperative, healthy, successful, or convenient. And the moment those things shift, love suddenly disappears. You know, one thing, getting off track of as I normally do. Um, I've been watching biographies lately. I like to, look at biographies every once in a while and really look into the lives of people who came before. And sadly, they don't do biographies of just random everyday neighbor from four houses down in the block and find out how their life went. They use entertainers, people in Hollywood, athletes and such. And what I've noticed is weirdly, oddly, and you can check this out for yourself, just type in biographies or whatever, you'll find out these people who were supposedly the most attractive people in the world usually have no less than 3 marriages. Somebody let them go. Somebody fumbled them, as they say. Why is that? Why is it that when you go on Instagram, I know we have filters on pictures and all that other beautiful AI magic and stuff like that. But why, when you're flicking through, you're seeing everybody who looks like they could be on the cover of some magazine or another, and yet they're parading themselves, they're showing themselves scantily clad, and they're need to show their six pack or they need to show their buns or huge amounts of cleavage or the fact that their eyes are a different color than the average from their culture, whatever, just these different little things. And you see so many of it and you wonder, okay, you have yourself, you're exposing yourself in various ways, you're doing it for likes, clicks and offers and all these different things. And something dawned on me that a lot of these people are just not happy and they're not secure in who they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't be out there. Do you need 67,000 likes on a picture by people you'll never know or meet? By maybe 50 to 90 who will copy that picture and repurpose it? for lack of a better term? Like, what's the purpose there? And if you do find what you're looking for as one of these people, maybe you're one of those people, you have someone, and then everybody knows you, or you know what I mean? Like, what is sacred nowadays? It just a question. I just noticed it a lot lately. I'm like, who are these people, and why are they all single? They're like picture perfect, as they would say. You try to peer into their eyes to see, like, okay, so does that mean this person is just off their nut, and that's why they're out here? Because they wouldn't have a hard time meeting anybody anywhere. And that's the type of people I'm talking about. Anyways, who knows? Just me. Anyhow, but maybe it was not love that disappeared. Maybe the benefits disappeared. That does not mean attraction does not matter. It does not mean provision doesn't matter. It doesn't mean health doesn't matter or practical life doesn't matter. Marriage is not floating in the clouds. It exists in bodies, bills, bedrooms, kitchens, hospitals, workplaces, and lots of responsibilities. But if the only thing holding your love together is the person's usefulness, then you may not love them as much as you love what they do for you. This is where vows become serious, obviously, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, sickness and in health. Those are not just poetic phrases that sound cool. Those are the tests that you're going to come through some of those. Some of those will be your tests. Can you handle it? Is this person worth it? And many people like the wedding language until life starts asking whether they actually meant it. Question 6. Did you love their soul, or did you love the life they made possible for you and your kids, or just you? This is another uncomfortable one because sometimes people fall in love with the life around a person: the house, the children, the hair. Just joking. Well, you never know. The family image, the holiday pictures, the vacations, the shared last name, the way people see them together, the comfort, the jealousy of siblings, the routine, the public respectability, the two incomes, the social approval, the status, the feeling of having arrived. And again, those things are not evil. A stable life matters. A home matters. Children matters. Family matters. Get it? Commu- Family structure matters. Community matters. There is dignity in building a life, but you still have to ask, do I love the person inside the life? Or do I love the life the person helps me maintain? Because those are different. Some people are terrified to lose the marriage, not because they love the person deeply, but because they love the structure deeply. They love the family table. They love having a table at all. They love the shared history, the pictures, they love the identity. They love the last name. They love not having to start over. They love the image of being married. They love the skin color, the eye, the eye color, the culture, the nationality, the they love being seen, or they love being chosen. They love being able to say my husband, my wife, my hubby, my wifey. And that can get confusing because marriage is not only romance, marriage is also structure. It is duty. It is shared life. It is submission. It is humbleness. It is a partnership. It is a team effort. It is sacrifice. The goal is not to pretend those things are meaningless. The goal is to ask whether there is actual love inside of all of that structure. Do I see this person? Do I care about this person? Do I know this person? Do I feel? Are we able to answer questions for the person, and if they're not there or not capable according to what they like, what matters to them? Do I care about what is happening inside of them? Do I want their good? before God? Do I repent when I harm them? Do I say sorry? Do I honor them when nobody is watching and I'm talking to my friends? Or do I talk them down and say, oh, he's a nice guy, but he's not very bright? She's a very pretty girl, but she's, anyhow. Do I listen to their pain without immediately defending myself? Do I care about their soul? Do I care about their happiness? Do I care about their satisfaction? Do I simply care that they continue playing their role in my life only? Sometimes people are in love with the life around the person more than they are actually in love with the person inside of the life. And if that is true, the answer is not always to leave, right? Sometimes the answer is to learn how to love the actual person you have been beside. I fixed the rhythm. Huh. Well, maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Hang on. Okay, as I said, check it out. I know we're flowing at some level, but I don't want this to drag on. So I'm going to get these last questions in. And I think I've given you enough thought or not enough to think about or enough to answer that I think we can move forward a lot quicker now. As you can see, how much time is left with this episode. I'm going to do this. Check it out. Did you love them or did you become agreeable enough to be chosen? Because, the funny thing with being agreeable, and speaking as a person who's been agreeable for most of my life, um, y- you notice that you're agreeable for some people and not so agreeable for other people. You bend over backwards for some and not for others. And you realize that maybe if you had bent over backwards for others that are already gone in your life, then maybe your life would have been a lot different. Maybe you're in a new relationship or you've been in new relationships and you do so much more for your new so-called suitors than you did for those who were in your life before. And what we don't sometimes realize is it's how we treat the people that are with us, the people who say they care about us, the people who love us. It's how we treat those people. The way you treat those people, right, will reflect a lot of the time, most of the time, on how they treat you. And then it'll change how you feel about yourself, and it'll be a reciprocal. It'll change how you feel about them, and it goes back and forth. Some people don't understand that. Some people just think, okay, well, I'm this person has to do this for me, and whether they feel good about it or bad about it, that's their job, and I need to be happy and I need to be satisfied without looking at the other side of the picture, what you do for them, how you make them feel, how you humble yourself, how you submit yourself, how you take charge, how you do whatever it is you do or whatever it is they want you to do. That's right. But check it out. This one is quiet because some people don't fall in love as much as they disappear into being easy to love. And if it's not your character, oh boy. They learn what keeps the peace. They learn what not to bring up. They learn when to laugh, when to be silent, when to stop asking, when to stop needing. And because the relationship continues, they call it love. But sometimes it wasn't love. Sometimes it was compliance. Sometimes it was fear. Sometimes it was belief that if you became low maintenance enough, someone would finally stay. Now, I want to be careful. Love does require sacrifice. Marriage does require patience, and mature person cannot need everything their own way all the time. But there is a difference between love and self erasure. Love says, I will consider you. Fear says, I will disappear so you don't leave me. Love can compromise without losing its soul. Fear keeps shrinking until there is nothing honestly left of you in the room. So ask yourself, did I love this person or did I audition for safety? Am I me who they met, or have I just slowly cookie cutted my way into what they want? Did I serve freely, or did I perform the version of myself I thought would be easiest to keep? Did I become kind, or did I become small? Because real love may humble you, right? Correct you and require sacrifice. But real love should not require you to stop being who you are. If someone only loves you when you have no needs, no boundaries, no disagreements, no grief, and no truth, then they may not love you. They may love your silence, and silence is not the same as love, obviously. Question 8. Did you love them, or did you love who you became around them? Sometimes the attachment is not only the person, sometimes it is the version of yourself that appeared when you were with them. Maybe they made you feel young again, wanted again, interesting again, powerful again, soft again, alive again. And that can feel like love because it's intoxicating to be around someone who makes you feel restored to yourself. But there is a question underneath it. Did I love this person? Or did I love the way I felt about myself in their presence? Because those are not the same thing. You may be attracted to the mirror. You may be attached to the feeling of being wanted. You may be attached to the confidence they gave you. You may be attached to the escape from ordinary what your life was. You may be attached to the way their attention temporarily healed an old wound. You may be attached to the fact that you got out of your family house, home, and if that is what's happening, the person becomes less like a person and more like a medication, a savior. They regulate your self esteem, they quiet your insecurity. They become proof that you are still attractive, still interesting, still chosen, still wanted, but another person was never meant to be your proof. This is too heavy a burden for any one human to carry for someone else. So ask yourself, do I care about them when they are not making me feel special? Do I care about their boundaries, their burdens, their wounds, their future, their soul? Do I love them when they are tired, ordinary, complicated, miserable, or no longer admiring me, putting me on a pedestal, bending down in front of me on their knees, begging? Because if I only love them when they reflect myself back to myself, sorry, in a beautiful way, then maybe I don't love them. Maybe I love the reflection, and the reflection is not that person. Number 9, did your love make you more truthful or more afraid? This may be one of the clearest tests. Love and fear can live closely, but they do not produce the same fruit. Love may make you careful. Love may make you tender. Love may teach you to slow down before you speak, but love should not make you chronically afraid of being truthful and being honest and telling how you feel. If the relationship trained you to hide that, that's not a good thing. It matters. If it trains you to edit yourself every time you say a sentence before it left your mouth, it matters. If it trains you to study someone's mood before deciding whether your pain was allowed to exist in the same space, that matters. It may not be love. That may be fear wearing love's clothes. And fear can immediately, I don't know, it can imitate devotion. A person can say, I just care about them so much, when what they really mean is, I am terrified of upsetting them. That can say, I forgive easily, when what that means is, I do not know how to hold anyone accountable with feelings and without feeling guilty. They can say, I am being patient when that means I have stopped expecting to be treated with care and how I would like to be treated. That is not always love. Sometimes that is fear with good manners. Now, honestly, does not mean saying everything is reckless or do everything reckless. You do not need to turn every feeling into confrontation, but love should create a place where truth can eventually come out into the light and not be scared. Maybe slowly, maybe carefully, maybe with tears and maybe with help, but it should be able to come out. Because if truth is permanently unsafe, then the relationship is not being protected by love, it's being protected by fear. And fear does not heal what's inside, it only postpones the reckoning, the explosion. And number 10, if the feeling faded, what remained? This is where everything slows down because the feelings are not meaningless. Desire matters, affection matters, warmth matters, tenderness matters. There is something beautiful about wanting to be near someone, laughing with them, missing them, reaching for them, lighting up when they walk into a room or, wherever your space. That isn't nothing, but feelings are not strong enough to carry the whole definition of love. Feelings rise and they fall. Life gets heavy, bodies change, children come, sometimes not the way you want them to. Money gets tight, stress accumulates, disappointment happens, the novelty wears off, the person becomes familiar. Then you find out what else was there and what else happened in their life that they didn't tell you or neglected to tell you about. And then you find out what else is going on fully with your whole situation. So when the feeling faded, what remained? Was there honor? Was there patience? Was there repentance? Was there friendship? Was there truth? Was there tenderness? Was there covenant? Was there care for the other person's soul? Because if nothing remained once the feeling stopped performing, maybe what you had was attraction. Maybe you had excitement, relief, projection. Maybe it was really in one way, or maybe it was real in one way, but not deep enough to become love in the fuller sense. But if something wholly remained, do not despise it just because it became quiet. A hand on the back in the kitchen, an apology without an excuse, a prayer nobody hears, a hard conversation handled with mercy, a tired person still choosing tenderness, a spouse who could use your weakness against you but chooses to cover you instead, a spouse that is frustrated but decides not to shout at you. It may not look like fantasy, but it may be closer to love than fantasy ever was. So ask the question, when the feeling faded, what remained? What remains? And if what remained was fear, resentment, image, habit, survival, then tell the truth. But if what remained is honor, repentance, patience, tenderness, covenant, and care for the soul of the other person, then maybe love is there. Maybe love is here and there and everywhere. Maybe not perfectly, but really. Listen, me end this off. So now we come back to the question, have you ever actually really been in love? Really? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe you really did love them. Not perfectly, not cleanly, not without fear, selfishness, immaturity, fantasy, or confusion of, all mixed in. But really, maybe you wanted their good. Maybe you sacrificed. Maybe you stayed when staying cost you a lot or everything or feels like everything. Maybe you repented when you harmed them. Maybe you cared about their soul, not just their usefulness. And if that is true, let it be true. Do not become so analytical that you cannot recognize what's real. Some love is mixed and still real. Some love is immature and still real. Some love begins for reasons we barely understand, and by the grace of God grows into something deeper and more meaningful. But maybe the answer is no. Maybe what you called love was mostly desire, loneliness, timing, fear, usefulness, ego, survival. Maybe you did not love the person as much as you loved what they gave you, what came through them, how they made you feel, what they helped you escape from, or life they helped you maintain. And that's painful, right? But it's not the end of the world, because naming a thing truthfully is not condemnation. Sometimes honesty is mercy. You can you can't repent of what you refuse to name, and you can't heal from what you keep romanticizing. You can't mature beyond a pattern you keep calling destiny. So the goal is not to be cynical. The goal is to become honest. Do not call lust love. Do not call fear love. Do not call money love. Do not call loneliness love. Do not call control love. Do not call being chosen love. Do not call emotional dependence love, but also do not call covenant meaningless just because it does not feel like fireworks every day. Do not call faithfulness fake just because it became ordinary and regular. Do not despise quiet love because loud love gets more attention. Maybe the better question is not only, was I ever really loved? Maybe the deeper question is, am I willing to become the kind of person who can love truthfully now? Because love is not just something you fall into. Love is something you become capable of carrying. It asks you to see another person clearly without reducing them to what they do for you. It asks you to tell the truth without cruelty. It asks you to sacrifice without erasing yourself. You got to be able to repent. You got to be able to forgive. You got to be able to grow. It asks you to stop using people as medicine for wounds only God can fuel or God can heal. So maybe today is not the day you make a dramatic decision. Maybe today is simply the day you tell the truth before God. Was that love? Was that fear? Was that loneliness, timing, hunger? Was that covenant, survival? Was that me trying to be chosen? Was that me loving a person or loving what the person gave me? And then it's still, and then it still sits long enough to hear the answer, I guess, is the situation is. Because if what remains is truth, honor, repentance, patience, covenant, tenderness, and the genuine willingness of another person's good, or the desire for another person's good or their peace, their happiness, then maybe love was there. Maybe love is there. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not dramatically, emotionally so much. Maybe not the way the movies taught you to recognize it, but really. And if it was not love, then at least now you can stop lying in love's name. All right, guys, until next time, this is MCM, and you are listening to You're Probably Right podcast. Take care. Drop me a note, follow the podcast, anything you want. All right, until next time, take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully, the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.